Come today and Eagle Eyes on Tech. The Nintendo Switch now has a pre-order date in North America. New Jersey is suing Discord for violating child safety laws. We'll get into details on that. 4chan was hacked and may never recover. Nvidia launches a lackluster GPU and a scam GPU. And one of the very first English Vtubers is now retiring. All that and more coming today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or it's 2 a.m. Go to bed already. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We got quite a bit to talk about. A lot of big, meaty, thick topics today. Not many, but a lot of really thick ones. With that said, though, yeah, we're going to address the elephant in the room. Yes, the podcast is late. There's just been a lot going on, and we just couldn't get it out in time. That's just all there is to it. Between the Easter holiday and a few other things that went on, I'll spare you the details, but the point is that the podcast is here now. It was not our intention to not work on Sunday, but it just happened that way. Kind of like how it just happens to be that this Thursday, if you're in North America, you too can go ahead and play legal gambling. And by legal gambling, I mean attempt to pre-order the Switch 2. What? Don't look at me like that. You know your odds of actually securing a pre-order is low. Think about all the bots you are going to be fighting against. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tight. But let's actually go over the pricing. Yes, the pre-orders will be available in April. And remember how I said that the people trying to go ahead and tell you, oh my God, because of the tariffs, the Switch 2 is going to be astronomically more expensive. And then we here went ahead, looked over things logically, and determined, yeah, the Switch 2 is probably going to launch at the exact same price. Lo and behold, we were right. Wow. Look at that. Look at what looking at facts does for you. The Switch 2 will in fact be available for $449. I still think that's a bit too high. Not by too much. Like, here's what I actually wonder, all right? Like, most people believe this thing is way too expensive. I don't remember if I said this before or not, but I'll just say it again here. I think this thing's $50 too expensive. I think $400 for this thing is a very fair price. And is about what I expected. $449 I feel is too high, but I'm probably still going to get it. Granted, in my scenario, it's, in my case, I'm going to be, using it for stream and be able to recoup my costs in one way or another. So, I look at it that way. Mario Kart World is confirmed at $80. By the way, the source I'm looking at is straight from Nintendo. Before anyone goes, oh my lord, I can't believe, what kind of sketchy news are you using? The source. The literal source. Switch 2 is $449. Switch 2 plus Mario Kart World is going to be $500. Mario Kart World on its own is going to be $80. Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be $70. So overall, we can expect games to be roughly $10 more expensive. Now, the rest of this stuff, I'm not 100% certain, but I think a large number of these accessories did go up in price. And I think that is because they are shipping out of not Vietnam. Like, I want to say the Switch 2 Pro controller was like a $70 or $80 controller. Now it is $85. The Joy-Con 2 pairs are close to $100, which is insane. Like, think about that for a second. Official Joy-Cons is roughly a quarter of the price of the Switch 2. Just the controllers, that's nuts. By the way, no Hall effect joysticks in those either. You still get your old ones that are prone to stick drift. So not too thrilled about that at all. Someone in chat says that it has already been admitted that the accessories are not dodging the T word. Yeah, that makes sense. Joy-Con charging grip is going to be $40. The strap is $14. The wheel set's going to be $25. The camera, which you shouldn't be buying, is going to be $55. Honestly, just get that Switch 2 camera. Get that like third party. I'm sorry. That thing is too fugly to pay $55 for. There's no way. No way. I will say this though, with the integration that camera does have, I do want to see what the tech savvy VTuber community comes with to try and hijack the connection of that Switch 2 camera to inject the VTubers model directly into the game. Someone in chat says he says no way, but he wants to play with it. I will play with a third party one and try to see what shenanigans I can get away with. But there is no way you're going to convince me to pay $55 for a camera that's worse than my Logitech C920 over here that is used as a backup cam. There's no way. I'm pretty sure the front-facing camera on my phone has better image quality than the Switch 2 camera, and my screen is filthy. Like this screen desperately needs to be cleaned, and even with the smudges and fingerprints and my grimy hands all over it, whatever image comes out of the front-facing grime-covered camera is gonna be better than what's on the Switch 2 camera. I guarantee it. Like, that camera is embarrassingly bad, and to pay $55 for that is kind of insulting, I'm not gonna lie. Dock is $120. I think that's really high for a dock, but they threw a fan in there for no reason. I still believe that fan that's built into the dock, the one that's drawing air from the bottom of the dock and expelling it through the top, I think that's going to do absolutely nothing for the Switch. And I appear to be the only one with this opinion. Okay? Like, here, follow me for a minute, all right? The Switch 2, just like the Switch 1, has a fan in it that is going to be close to the top, that is going to pull air in from the bottom, expel it through the top after passing through a heatsink within the console, right? That is how it's going to keep itself cool. How is a fan doing the exact same thing but not connected to a heatsink and not connected to the Switch at all to take any heat away from the Switch going to do anything for the Switch other than pull air away from the air intake? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's like they just threw a fan in there so you'd shut up about it. And I'm telling you this right now. The extremely tech savvy, once they get their hands on that dock, are going to look at that and go, wait a minute. This spits in the face of everything we know about thermodynamics. Why are we doing this again? Carrying case, $85. What the frick? $35 for the AC adapter and $60 for a laughably small Switch 2 micro SD express card. I want to know what's in this $85 carrying case though. Holy smokes. Like, I'm just saying, the $600 Steam Deck comes with a free case. I'm just saying. I actually do want to very quickly take a look. How much of a markup is this micro SD express card? Holy smokes, are you serious? First hit, $72 for 256 gigs. Second hit, $56 for 256 gigs. Dang, I thought for a second the $60 SD card was going to be like a massive ripoff. It turns out it's not Nintendo ripping me off. It's the entire industry. That being said, though, assuming that, no, it's micro SD XC, so no, that will not be compatible because it's only micro SD express card. I actually can't find anything bigger than 256 gigs. Once I get above 256, it starts becoming micro XD-XC or just micro SD plus. Oh, no, never mind. That's just the brand name. It's micro XD-XC. Interesting. Okay, yeah. I mean, if I'm going to go ahead and rip on Nintendo for ripping me off, I can't go for the SD card slot. It just turns out the industry is ripping us off. Who knew? In before is not labeled correct. Someone in chat says in before it's not labeled correctly. Only 64 gigs for 6. Man, it would be one thing if like the SanDisk or Lexar listing I'm looking at right now did that. But could you imagine if Nintendo did that? Oh my God, they would never hear the end of it. Oh man. Wow. So yeah, something's more expensive. I'll tell you what, those who do bite the bullet for this console that admittedly is overpriced. I'm not going to defend this price too much. I think it's better than a lot of people are making it out to be, but it's still high. That is my conclusion on it. And I think those that are willing to bite the bullet, there are not going to be I guarantee you, they are not going to have a whole lot of first party accessories. They're going to be going for a lot of third party accessories to go ahead and just make that near $500 wound in their wallet a bit more tolerable, because that is the best way to describe it. A wound. There's budget holes, and then there is like a wound. So yeah, Nintendo Switch pre-orders will in fact begin on April 24th. Good luck to everyone trying. I will be trying myself. I will probably fail. A lot of people are saying that these pre-orders will begin at midnight Eastern time at most major retailers. So we shall see how that goes. The Nintendo wound. I'm not ready for that game. You know, speaking of like Nintendo hurting us, I still cannot believe we are now going for a second console in a row where the tech demo game is being sold as a separate title. Like at least the Welcome to Switch 2 game is only like $5 or $10 this time around, and not a full $60 like 1-2 Switch was. Yeah, by the way, for those who want to go ahead and say like, oh my God, Nintendo's just greedy, they're making you pay for the demo game. They made us pay for the demo game before with the Switch. Guess what? Nobody bought it because it was stupid. Think about it. You know people who bought the Switch, right? Do you know anyone that owns a copy of 1-2 Switch? I'm willing to bet you can't even find that game used. That was left to rot on the shelves. And if you do think you know someone, you don't. Mandela effect. It never actually happened. Someone in chat says Super Gaming Brothers have a copy. No, they don't. That's Mandela effect. Someone in chat says, remember Wii Sports? I swear, Wii Sports is the reason why they stopped bundling that game free. Why they stopped bundling the tech demo game for free. Because Wii Sports was so successful on its own that they're just like, wait a minute. We could have made bank on that. We should make bank on the next one. Okay, we didn't make bank on that one. Maybe we'll make bank on this. Oh, now we're getting blowback. Whoops. Speaking of blowback, Microsoft is warning millions of Windows users to never, ever, ever delete the folder inetpub. If you have applied the latest Windows update, inetpub will pop up inside your root partition. And this will happen whether you have Windows 11 or 10, and you must not delete this folder. Apparently, deleting this folder will cause massive problems, and this problem will be fixed in the next Microsoft update. The folder is called the letter I, netpub. Someone in chat says, in Windows 10 too? That's right. Windows 10 still gets updates for 5 months, I think. Like 5 or 6 months. They still get updates. Then after that, then we're told that we're inferior. That my obsolete computer is now finally obsolete with its 24 CPU cores, RTX 4060 Ti, and 64 gigabytes of RAM. Obsolete. Obsolete rig right there. Totally obsolete. That's like dinosaur technology there. So yeah, there's your warning. Don't delete that. Someone in chat says time for Linux. I don't think I can. I'll probably end up I don't know. I really don't. Like every time I think I'm gonna end up, I'm gonna have to go over to Linux, I find out some new incompatibility that feels like, Someone in chat says Mac got this. I told you again and again and again, Mac is not compatible with my setup. So no, Mac don't got this. Mac don't got a capture card that is compatible with my setup. Mac don't got enough IO to go do everything that I do. It don't got this. It literally don't. I would have to go and get a Mac Pro, and I hate to break it to you, but my budget right now is so weak that finding 3 safety pins on my desk is a boon. Look at that. There's 3 of them now. Earlier there were 2. Now there's 3. Unfortunately, Google does not have any safety pins, for they have lost another tech trial and has now been declared a monopoly again by the Department of Justice when it comes to their advertising market. So that is now being compiled onto the other case that the Department of Justice also opened up against Google and already won under the previous administration. So if you thought the whole going after Google thing was just a thing the previous Department of Justice was going to do, nope. Going after Google apparently is in fact bipartisan. Not gonna lie, I would not have called that. So there may in fact be more and more breakups coming down against Google. So all we can do is wait and see how they're going to break up Google. Just like we're going to wait and see how this case is going to go. New Jersey is suing Discord for violating child and safety laws of some kind. But now things get better. Okay? Because the question is, how strong of a case does New Jersey have? Or are we just going to assume that New Jersey is going to go ahead and just walk into the court Jersey boy style and just say, yeah, we're going to win this. We're from Jersey or Joyzy. However it actually is with the Jersey accent. I don't know. God, it's been a while since I've heard any New Jersey stereotypes. That's what I get for living in the middle of nowhere. In any case, actual news about this. The New Jersey complaint, according to Fast Company, alleges that Discord knew its safety features and policies wouldn't actually protect its young user base and didn't make changes. Discord markets itself as a safe place for children, despite being fully aware that the application's misleading safety settings and lax oversight has made it a prime hunting ground for online predators seeking easy access to children. These deceptive claims regarding its safety settings have allowed Discord to attract a growing number of children to use its application. While they are at risk, we intend to put a stop to this unlawful conduct and hold Discord accountable for the harm it has caused our children. Now, that's a nice, bold statement there. However, you're gonna have to try and prove that Discord knew its safety features were lacking. Because here's the thing, right? Anyone who uses Discord knows that its spam prevention and direct message protection is not the best. But when you start going that your entire claim is that Discord knew that its things were lacking and all these things were going on and that it let it happen, here's the problem. You now have to prove without a shadow of a doubt that Discord knew it and that they did nothing about it. I hate to break it to them, but I don't think New Jersey has a case here. Because how are they going to prove that? Especially since Discord every 2 to 3 months puts out yet another massive UI overhaul that includes all kinds of spam protection, moderation tools, and everything else. Like, they keep cranking these out and keep messing up the UI in ways that piss us off. But it does include additional safety features. Are these safety features enough? No, but it is enough to go ahead and say that their claim of Discord knew that the security is lacking and they didn't do anything about it. It throws that entire argument out the window because they did take action repeatedly. Like, I'm not gonna lie, on its surface, now we don't know the details of the case or anything of that nature, but on its face, it doesn't seem like they have a case. Someone in chat says, from their memory, the New Jersey Attorney General pressured AT&T to try and block Usenet. So it does sound like this guy already doesn't have a good track record of good intentions and good cases. Oh, they're saying this is from 15 years ago, so might not be the same Attorney General at that point. Now, Fast Company does point out that Discord does, in fact, not allow users under the age of 13. So, look, I'm just going to say this much, all right? As I mentioned, they got to try and make this a case that is, without a shadow of a doubt, that Discord knew and that they did nothing to try and prevent it. The moment there is any doubt or that there's any sight, there's anything that Discord did put effort in to try and make their younger user base safer, any sensible jury or judge would go ahead and tell the Attorney General to go home. That is just as far as we know right now. There could be more to this case. There could be more they're trying to go after with Discord. They're, of course, going to have to try and cite specific laws. They can't just say, like, we got to protect the children. Oh, we have to protect the children. Think of the children. And just have that be their entire argument. They can't do that. They can try, but they can't do that. So for that, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. We're going to take our first break here. When we come back, we got to talk about 4chan and its future and whether it's going to exist or not. That'll be fun. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. All right, well, we got 2 outages to talk about. First up, did you know that Zoom is still around? Well, for a while it wasn't. Zoom actually did have a pretty big outage where it was just completely out for pretty much a whole day. And in fact, Spotify was out for a little bit before Zoom was. Now, the cause is unrelated to really anything, to be perfectly honest. It was just all a coincidence. But still, to see that, to see Spotify went down, then Zoom, and then, of course, the most important website of them all, 4chan. Yes, the infamous hacker 4chan was hacked and taken down. 4chan most likely caught completely off guard by the fact that they were hacked. How many people actually know about that meme anyway? Put your hands down. I can't see them. For those who don't know, the whole thing with 4chan, unlike the media who believed that 4chan was a person, a hacker, or a group of hackers, it's not. 4chan is a website. It is an image board. It is split into many subboards, such as random and poll, both of which you should never go to. Poll being political, random just being random. There's a bunch of not safe for work boards on there. There's a bunch of safe for work boards on there. One's based on video games, one's based on technology, some based on Flash still being alive, some based on anime wallpapers, some based on anime. The list goes on and on and on and on. But of course, because B exists, the random board, which just had the worst kind of degeneracy and people saying the stupidest, most heinous things possible, that was the rap 4chan got. Now, 4chan was taken down using a PHP exploit. Turns out the website has been pretty much running on the exact same architecture it has been since it probably went up back in 2002 and has never been patched. Someone from the board Soyjack Party, which I don't remember if that's the actual name of the board. And I'll be perfectly honest, I don't care enough. The name alone is stupid, and I'm not going to respect it. Just out of principle. They went ahead and gained full access to 4chan, brought back boards like Q&A, and then went ahead and leaked out, allegedly, the source code for all of 4chan, as well as a massive list of all of the administrators, moderators, and unpaid janitors of 4chan. There has since been a lot of rumors going around, like there were people within 4chan that were government agents, that there's no evidence to support that whatsoever. In fact, there's evidence to the contrary to support that. I'm just, it just goes on and on and on. All the absolute insane things being said about 4chan. Now, first off, I am not surprised at all that this hack happened. It really was only a matter of time. It was kind of clear for a very long time that despite the fact that the current owner of 4chan is like the godfather of the image board format, the 4chan website was pretty much in a holding pattern for the last decade. It has pretty much been a passive income source for the owner for a very long time. All right. I'm willing to put down all 4 of my safety pins on this. I'm just saying. Now, I don't know what you do about all of your moderators and janitors being doxxed. I have no idea what you do about that. Granted, the only information that's been gotten out, as far as I'm aware, has just been names and email addresses, as well as IPs. IPs is not that hard to change. All right, it shouldn't take much to go ahead and do that. What needs to be done first, though, is that 4chan needs to be made secure. You know, after your moderators are done taking measures to change their IPs so that they cannot be attacked, and maybe getting new emails. I'm just saying. Right now, at the time of recording, if you go to 4chan.org, it is currently locked down completely. Not in like a, it doesn't even function, or it's in like a compromised mode. It is just set to forbidden. It is a 503 error. Everything has been locked down. No one can access anything. That's just that. All right. So what happens now? Well, one of 2 things will happen. In a couple of weeks, the 503 error will become either an actual 4chan.org on a new backbone, or the domain will straight up just be left to expire. And that'll be that. 4chan will be gone until some domain squatter squats on the 4chan domain and someone tries to resurrect something in its image, but it's not quite the same thing, which is going to be really awkward when it comes to ownership and that whole thing. It's hard to say right now whether 4chan is dead or not, is what I'm trying to get to. And some people are thinking, oh, there's no way they recover. Oh, there's no way they don't. How do you let something as legendary and as money printing like 4chan go away? It could go either way. It's going to take time to go ahead and make a version of 4chan that is up to modern security standards. It just is. Meanwhile, with 4chan gone, guess what? All those idiots gotta go somewhere. And let's say 4chan comes back. Who's to say the users do? Without its users, 4chan is nothing. Like, who's to say they come back? They just go ahead and integrate themselves into some terrible subreddits or some other 4chan clone like 7chan or 8chan, or pick a horrendous message board. Who's to say they ever come back? We just don't know. It's a shame too. 4chan's been around for 23 years. Like, let that sink in for a second. 23 years this cesspool has existed. It's wild. So that's that. For now, All we can do is wait and see. Maybe it'll be back next week. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be back up by the time this podcast airs. That'd be kind of funny. Meanwhile, though, we have to talk about the T word for a brief moment, because everyone loves to go ahead and make nonsense up about the T word. Right now, the only new T word that is implemented is against China. There are some exceptions to this. Within China, there are certain items that are exempt for now. But right now, the only thing that is new is that anything that was tariffed by 145% is now tariffed by 245%. And China's being kind of stupid about it, even somehow stupider than the guy who puts a 245% tariff on someone, which is impressive, I might add, and is trying to tell other countries that no one should make a deal with the US that involves harming China in any way, shape, or form. And maybe it's the petty person in me, but if someone told me that I better not cut a deal that hurts them, part of me feels like I now have to make a deal that hurts them out of spite. Like, it's just the feeling of just like, you're the one in the middle of a pissing match. How dare you try to tell me how I should go ahead and look out for my own interest? So that's currently the state of things. The only people right now who are under new tariffs is China, and it's now 245% of its base worth. It basically means that if you're intending on buying cheap garbage from China, you may want to go ahead and buy cheap garbage from somewhere else instead. Might be a good idea. It does mean that all the third-party accessories for the Switch are going to get a little bit more expensive, which is going to be a little annoying, but it is what it is. We need to shift gears instead. Instead of buying cheap electronics from China, we need to buy cheap electronics from Nigeria. Clearly. I have no idea if that's actually a thing or not. But while people are unsure how things are going to go down, because everything with these tariffs changes from day to day, people are now looking at how it's going to affect business. Someone in chat said my $10 Temu clothes washer is now $30. All right. That $10 like accordion bowl that claims to be a washing machine, don't get that. As someone who actually goes ahead and washes clothes for a living at a commercial laundromat, and the process that's actually needed and the chemistry that's actually needed to actually wash clothes properly, no, their bucket with a spinner at the bottom is not going to wash your clothes. It's going to soak your clothes. You actually need proper, real agitation and a cycling of water in and out to go ahead and actually wash your clothes properly. Otherwise, all you're doing is wetting the oils and dirt. By the by, if you're ever debating between a front-loading washer and a top-loading washer, front-loading is the correct answer. I know you may not want to hear that. Top-loading washers are terrible by comparison as far as the quality of clean they can get. It's the drop. It's the rotation. That does so much work than a top loader just going, There's a reason why if you go into our commercial laundry plant, everything is front loading. Everything. Except like one little modified washer we have in the corner that's a top loader. And that's only because we want something that's ultra gentle. And I do mean like ultra gentle. And because we modified it. But anyway, I digress. The Temu washer, terrible. Do they still sell that thing? That stupid stirring bucket? Well, at least when I quickly Google cheap washing machines, that cheap piece of garbage does not show. Nope, never mind. There it is. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. Although that does look like something I don't have faith in either. But I digress. Meanwhile, Nvidia, they're looking at the tariffs and are now calculating that the way things are going down, it's going to cost them $5.5 billion on their sales of AI chips to China. On one hand, that's terrible. $5.5 billion just down the drain, all because of a trade warring pissing match. On the other hand, you know, if this is going to go ahead and hurt Nvidia and actually hit them in the market where it actually hurts them, man, all of a sudden I'm becoming very pro tariff, because man, Nvidia needs a swift kick in the nuts for the way they have been treating every single blasted market except for AI. Seriously, Nvidia has its hands in so many pies right now in the tech sector, but AI is the one that's making them the most money, so it's the only one doing them anything. Look, I'm not even kidding here, all right? The networking department, they're just kind of doing whatever. They haven't really innovated anything. There's no reason to really go for them. They're just kind of there, and there's better options than what Nvidia has. So in the networking space, there's no reason to go with Nvidia. All right. In the gaming space, they just had another major driver issue that causes GPUs to not cool themselves. Good design, by the way. While also still in the middle of releasing their Blackwell GPUs that are so lackluster in their performance that we want to throw the cards back at them out of spite. It's so disgusting. And then on top of that, they can't make enough of the blasted cards. Not because there's a high demand for them. No. They're only making like a dozen of each. They go out of stock immediately because scalpers see the chance to go ahead and scoop them up. And lo and behold, the price stays 3 to 4 times higher than the MSRP, so no one can afford them. And Nvidia is just like, oh, look at the high demand. So they're just gaslighting us the whole way, while giving us crap drivers that make it so the card cooks itself. Not that the card needs any help to cook itself, because of course, thanks to the faulty high power connector on it, it might just catch fire anyway because of its terrible design, again, for the 3rd generation in a row. And don't think that it's just gamers getting screwed. Oh, no. Because you see, these same drivers are then fed to the Quadro chips that are being sold, which actually have the correct amount of RAM, I might add. And because what Nvidia is selling right now is missing RAM that really should be there. They're selling cards that are already obsolete, is what we're getting at. Legit, the GPUs that are currently being sold by Nvidia are obsolete from the get-go. Quadro chips, though, they put the correct amount of RAM on those. Don't worry about that. It still has all the other flaws, though. The driver issues, which driver issues on a Quadro card, ooh, that's a sin. See, gamers, you're just told, oh, you're gaming too hard. That's why it's being weird. Anyway, here's your driver update. Maybe it'll make your game perform better, LOL. Gamers, for whatever reason, they don't mind the downtime, because it just means, oh, I guess I'm just not gaming. Whatever. In professional space, that driver's having an issue. That's an MRI machine that's not working. That is a movie production schedule that is now held up because of their problem. And these problems are leaking over to the Quadro side on top of all this. Not to mention the connector burning issue, because the flaw is still present. Not to mention the stock is also stupid low, because everything is still going to the AI side of things. So yeah, I'm not going to shed a cheer. I'm actually going to cheer the fact that Nvidia is going to have to pay out $5.5 billion to export their chips to China. About time you take a nut shot. You deserve it. Then let's go ahead and get to the 3 cards that Nvidia announced. The scummy card, the scammy card, and the obsolete card. The 3 new GPUs are as follows. The RTX 5060 Ti, the RTX 5060 Ti, and the RTX 5060. I'm sorry, did that sound hilariously strange to you? Did that sound bizarre? Why would I mention one card twice? Come on, it's Nvidia. You know exactly why I mentioned one card twice. We have the RTX 5060 Ti with 16 gigabytes of RAM, the RTX 5060 Ti with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and the RTX 5060 also with 8 gigabytes of RAM. And this all starts at $299. Wow. What $299? That sounds almost affordable. That's almost the cost of a Nintendo Switch 2. That's actually cheaper than a Nintendo Switch 2. Ooh. All I gotta do is bring my own rest of the computer. Well, let's get to the real story. All right. Now, Nvidia went ahead and before all this tried to say that their that their 5060 Ti was 50 times faster than the GTX 1060. They try to go ahead and spin this card to be as crazy good as possible. Quick, do you think they were telling the truth? Do you think they were telling the truth at all? You can put your hands down. We already know the answer. No, they weren't. They lied. They straight up lied. It was 100% false advertising. There was no way it was going to outperform the 1060 by that much. It outperforms the 1060, not by that much. In fact, the best part is it barely outperforms the 4060. And by the way, the card prices are $429 for the 16 gigabyte version, $379 for the you shouldn't buy this version, and $299 for the you shouldn't buy this. No joke. We haven't tested the 5060 yet. We have tested the 5060 Ti 8 gigabyte version. The 8 gigabyte version caps out at 1080p instantly on modern titles at 1080p. Someone in chat says 1060. Yes, Nvidia tried to claim that the RTX 5060 was going to be 50 times faster than the 1060. That was a real claim Nvidia tried to make. That it was going to be 50 times better. Which, why would you make the claim? Do you know who bought a 1060? People who had a couple $100s to put into a GPU because that's how much a 1060 cost. Why the flock do you think they got an extra $430 laying around? And that really is the only price you should be concerned with, that $430. No other price on this chart matters. And here's the best part. When the review embargo lifted, reviewers were only given the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte variant to test. Nvidia did not ship out the 8 gigabyte variant. You know, the card that when reviewers did get their hands on it, because they just bought it retail, turned out it was a garbage card. That is the game Nvidia is playing now. Literal review manipulation by just playing the game of saying, hey, it's still the RTX 5060 Ti, but one version functions and the other, the slightly cheaper one, is an actual scam. Like, how else do you view that than saying that the 5060 Ti 8 gigabyte variant is anything but a scam? I can't, but that's just how Nvidia operates now. Just in case you thought there was any shred of them actually caring about their customers, no, they don't care about their customers. They don't care about their consumer customers. They don't care about their corporate customers. They don't care about their business customers. They don't care about their professional customers. The only customers they care about is if you worship at the altar of AI and give them way too much money for chips they set aside while the rest of the industry gets their scraps. And at some point soon, this is going to bite Nvidia back. Thank God AMD is at least able to compete. And I'll tell you what, when I look at upgrading my card next inside the gaming PC, it most likely will be an Nvidia card. And if the encoder built into the AMD card is good enough, decent chance the next upgrade on the streaming PC will also be an Nvidia card. Or I'm sorry, an AMD card. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We're gonna have to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk about AI. Because of course we have to talk about AI. Why wouldn't we have to talk about AI? We'll be back. welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. Meanwhile, in the AI world, OpenAI has introduced new GPT 4.1 models and will retire their GPT-4 models at the end of the month. Yes, it's tragic. It's very, very tragic to see AI progressing. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. You know, I don't know a whole lot about the updates and all that jazz. I mean, new model, hopefully it works better. But, you know, the world is regulating AI more and more and more. And every time I look at AI and see what it can do, I am less and less and less impressed. So, I mean, maybe this version will impress me. Maybe the 0.1 is really what's going to go ahead and sell me over and go, you know what? You've gotten a lot better. You might even be ready for prime time, despite the fact you've been in prime time for way too long, making mistakes again and again and again. So, we'll have to wait and see how things go. Meanwhile, though, one thing I think nobody wants. It's Sam Altman trying to build a social network using OpenAI. Don't you want to do it? Don't you want to do it? Don't you want to go ahead? Join a social media network? You know, the thing you're trying to escape? The thing you're already sick of? Don't you want to join another social network built on the foundation of AI? At what point does dead internet theory stop being a theory and just become dead internet fact? Like, I gotta ask. I almost guarantee you when you join this social network, you will not be talking to anyone. It is going to almost for sure just be bots talking to bots. It's just what it feels like it's going to be. It's just, what a great thing that we're going to have. We'll see how that goes for them. I honestly don't think it's going to go very far. I think this is just Sam Altman wanting to try and flex on Zuckerberg or feeling threatened by Zuckerberg. I don't know. Your pick. Personally, I don't care. I really, really don't care. Meanwhile, though, Google is working on a new AI model, specifically for talking to dolphins. So now Google wants to go ahead and annoy the sea life, the most intelligent sea life, with generative AI, because us surface dwellers, we're just not smart enough and not savvy enough to understand the geniuses of AI models that make mistakes every third try. Wait. I mean, of course, obviously, the AI model is intended to actually study dolphins and communicate with dolphins. It is not meant to go ahead and draw Studio Ghibli pictures for dolphins. That would be stupid. So in any case, I can't wait for these models to hallucinate and do wild and crazy stuff. But good for the dolphins? But it just is what it is. Going to something slightly more sane, I want to talk about iPad OS 19. iPad OS 19 is not out yet. Okay? It is going to be talked about at WWDC in a couple of months. Rumors are saying iPad OS 19 is going to be the headline of WWDC. And the goal of iOS 19 is going to be to actually have the iPad behave and be as capable as a desktop operating system. I mean, honestly, all of a sudden, all the overpowered iPads rocking M2, M3, M4 SoCs that you really only see in high-end Mac laptops makes way more sense if you're going to go ahead and make iPadOS that much more robust that can use that hardware. I'm not going to lie. I am actually legitimately kind of interested to see where this goes. Because, I mean, the iPad is kind of cool in what it can do. It's been a while since I've used an iPad, to be honest. But, you know, if it can go ahead and be a bit more interesting, be a bit more desktop capable, you know what? Hey, we might be onto something. But that is going to be a couple of months away. We'll just have to wait and see how that all goes down. And we're going to shift gears radically. I felt the need to talk about this. I don't have to talk about this, but I do have some interesting thoughts about this. This is involving the graduation / retirement of one of the very first corporate English VTubers. That being the retirement / graduation, pick your terminology. It's basically a retirement of Gargura. And I do mean it when I say she was one of the very first. There were VTubers obviously before Niji Sanji, HoloLive, and all of these got into the field. But like HoloLive especially, when they really took off with the whole VTuber model, they really stuck to being Japan only. And then finally decided they're going to try and make a break into the English market. With one of their first talents that did so was the little shark avatar, Gargura. Now, her retirement isn't too surprising, considering the fact that her actual streams have been very sporadic. Like, you thought me missing a couple of days meant like, oh no, it's so over. It's so over. Eagle's washed up. He missed 2 streams in a row. It's all over. No. She would go weeks to months without any stream. When she did finally announce her graduation, which is basically VTuber speak for retirement, she cited that there was a conflict with management. Now, for the actual reason for the retirement, or rather the specifics, we will probably never know. But apparently there's been a few others from HoloLive that have also retired. And I want to give my insight on this, all right? First off, I have now been a streamer long enough that back when I started, the thought of you having an animated avatar as like your face cam, as your presence, wasn't even a thought yet. I have been at this for a very long time. Like, so long I'd actually have to go back and find out exactly when I started. Like, we might be going on 10 years now. But, you know, VTubing, though, is a different game than just regular streaming. Because a lot of these corporate VTubers, they want to try and continue this air, this design of it being like a Japanese pop model. So you're expected to do all of these performances. You're expected to do all of these kind of songs, this singing, these kind of performances and whatnot. It's not just going onto a live stream and being entertaining. That's not what being a VTuber to the corporate entity is really at all. That's a big bonus. That's a big part of your revenue. It's a big part of how you grow, but it is not how you, I mean, it's not all they expect. And I suspect a lot of those aspects, because like Gargura was doing like a bit for, who was the Yankees, I think? Was that who it was? Where she was just straight up saying, take me out to the ball game on like the Jumbotron. I mean, if you want my opinion, why Gargura is retiring, it's 2 simple words: burnout. I think it's just that simple. And I'm willing to bet my 5 safety pins on it. Why state that it's a disagreement between management? Because management won't let her take an extended break. Okay, you can take a break from streaming, but we totally need you to go ahead and do this one thing. Oh, we need you to go ahead and take part in this one video. Oh, we need you to go ahead and do this collab. Yeah. You can go ahead and take a break from your own stream, but we need you to go do this. Oh, we need you to go ahead and post for this. Oh, we need you to go do this. When she is burnt out and needs to take a break, before going back into the space. Now, here's the speculation going around. Okay. People have found Gargura's original Twitter account, her personal Twitter account. Most likely, the character Gargura is gone. That is going to forever be property of HoloLive. Like we're never going to see that character again. We'll end up seeing a different character if the actor behind Gargura gets back into the space. Here's the thing. If I'm correct that it is Burnout, they're not going to go back into the space right away. And because they're not going to go back to the space right away, they're not going to be able to ride the infamousy of such a major graduation and be able to grow their own streaming channel, if I'm correct. And so I think most likely the person behind Gargura is just, I think they might just be done in the streaming industry, just straight up. Someone in chat says they see HoloLive as also a black company. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't call HoloLive a black company. I would say HoloLive is more I would just say ambitious. Okay. And that they might be pushing their workers a bit too far. I don't think it rises to like the level of saying a black company, because the terminology black company, as we learn things to Niji Sanji, really does mean that they are 100% exploitive. Like to the point where you couldn't get away with that in the US. To the point where there's internal problems, they don't care as long as they're making the Benjamins. My theory, and again, I want to stress, this is all a theory, is that it's Burnout and that the actor behind Gargura needs longer than they're giving. Because if HoloLive was a true black company, they would not let Gargura take months off between streams. That just wouldn't happen, because that's revenue they're not making. So no, I would not dare say HoloLive is a black company. And again, that's just one theory I have. It could be, God, who knows what? It could be something really silly. Like the actor behind Gargura really likes the janky model that she uses, but management really wants to push her to a more modern one more, much more animated, much less stiff and robotic. Like the Gargura model is, I mean, I'll be honest, it's old, dated, and bad, especially when you compare it to absolute top tier models from VTubers like Shy Lily, like from Girl DM, like from Limu, like from a lot of these independent VTubers that just put a lot of effort in their models, and it shows. It is top tier stuff they're able to produce. But then you compare it to a lot of the corporate VTubers, and it's pretty close to just being a still image that moves, kind of. So I mean, like, we don't know the exact reason. We're only guessing at this point, but it does mean that May 1st, that's it. That's the end of the Shark VTuber that opened her career by saying, and well, that's kind of a bitter story. Let's end on something stupid. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the last bird of the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Can It Run Doom? Today's contestant for Can It Run Doom, a box for Doom. There is a $666, I see what you did there, $666 collector's edition box that contains many copies of Doom, including Doom 1 and Doom 2. Most likely that's all it contains. But most of the circuitry is going to a lot of the paraphernalia and the small computer built into the box with LCD screen that does, in fact, play Doom. You could almost make a podcast just asking the question, can it run Doom? You just get that much of it. It's kind of impressive. But you know what? at least in the game show, Can It Run Doom? It never, ever gets boring. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening. Again, I apologize for it being one day late, but holidays do happen. I do encourage you to check out my other works, youtube.com/EagleFalcon and twitch.tv/EagleFalcon. Take care, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. So what is the next thing going to be that's going to run Doom? Like, what's left that hasn't run Doom yet? Like, there has to be something, right? A deck of playing cards, a Magic the Gathering set. Like, there's got to be something really, really silly. Someone in chat says AR glasses. I'm pretty sure we already have that, right? Someone has to have done that. That's too easy. That has to have already been done. It has to be. I'm just saying, we're running out of things to actually run Doom on. I would say AI or a hallucination of AI, but I'm pretty sure we've done that already. Oh. Ooh, you know what we haven't gotten to run Doom yet? The Amazon Echo. Come on, it can run Skyrim, but it can't run Doom? Come on. Someone has to fix this.